Hello. I had talked to you in my last video about the fifth house. Fifth house is primarily, I told you, is for love, intelligence, speculation, higher studies, higher matters of philosophy. Now we come to the sixth house. The sixth house basically talks about three very important things: enemies, diseases, and debts. It is the house which controls these three things. So sixth house is of enemies, diseases, and debts. Also, the sixth house is a very important house because it talks about what we call how you deal with other people, how you conduct yourself with other people, how, not exactly the word conduct is not the right word, how you deal with other people, how well you can handle conflicts. And that is very important when you're doing a service, when you're doing any profession, any job. The whole thing is how well you can handle conflicts and how well you can deal with your co-workers. So sixth house is also a prime house for service. If you have to see a person who is in service, it is the sixth house. It also deals with enemies, diseases, and debts. It also deals with your ability to handle conflicts. Therefore, sixth house is a very negative house when it comes to marriage. It is a 12th to 7th, so it actually negates marriage. It does not promote marriage because it perhaps increases the conflicts in a relationship, which is not good. But on the other hand, if sixth house is a very important house for matters of service, if you have to look whether a person does job i.e. as working under somebody else, not as a entrepreneur, not as a business. So sixth house is an important house when you have to see a man's ability to do service. It is a very important house to how a person deals with conflicts, how a person deals with others. So it's also a very important house when you're looking at the horoscopes of politicians or bureaucrats, because they have to be very good at dealing with things around them, the circumstances around them, and therefore a sixth house is a very important house for profession. When you have to see profession, you have to look at the second house and the sixth house. Second house tells you how, again, as a holistically, if anything is your family, how you deal with it. And the sixth house deals with dealing with conflicts, and 10th and 11th houses are houses of prestige and gains, which I will talk later. So what I want to tell you is sixth house is a very important house of service. It is not a good house for aspects of marriage. It negates marriage. A very strong sixth house may make you a very big politician, make you successful, make you businessman, make you handle with people. But if sixth house gets related to seventh house, it may negate marriage. So that is why you see a lot of people who rise very high but have very bad married life. So sixth house deals with service, but it negates marriage. It deals with enemies, diseases, and debts. Because it deals with enemies, diseases, and debts, it is a very important house which can make you a lawyer, because a lawyer means talking with your enemies, how to deal with enemies. It also is a very important house when it gets related to the right houses for making you a doctor or a paramedical profession. It is also a very important house when you are dealing with joint finances, debt, mutual funds, how well you can deal with issues. And when it gets related with Mercury and the other houses, it makes you a person dealing with finance or manipulating finance or a venture capitalist kind of a thing. So therefore a sixth house has got a very important house in various areas of profession which I've explained to you. It is a very important house to deal with competition. It has to be related to 10th and 11th to rise in life. Please understand, without a strong sixth house related to 2nd, 3rd, 10th and 11th, a person cannot rise high in life. For rising high in life, it is the most important house. It is more important than the bank balance, which is shown by the second house. It has to get related to 10th and 11th for a person to rise in his profession or job, but it is not good for marriage. So that is how you have to see the planets which are there in sixth house. The planets like Saturn or other malefic planets do well in the sixth house, because for example Saturn when in sixth house, Saturn is a planet with delays, which puts structure and order. So if there is a delay and it also puts a structure and order, you can deal with conflicts, deal with enemies, diseases, debts and other things which I've explained earlier in a very effective way. So you have to see the Lord of sixth house, the depositor of the Lord of sixth house, where it is placed, and the planets in sixth house. There is nothing which A strong sixth house, as I told you, can give you make you rise very high in the job, but can create problems in marriage. So it has its positive and negative aspects. But my thing in this video is to tell you what the sixth house depicts, which I've explained you. So next time when you go to an astrologer, you know to ask him about which house, depending on what you want to ask him. So sixth house is primarily for service, enemies, diseases, debts, conflicts, and dealing with people. So, and therefore it is a very, very, very important house in the present scheme of things. In Kali Yuga, it is a very important house. With this, I'd like to end this video for now, and to repeat again, you can look at my books which are available at Sagar Publications. You can go to my site, you can write to me, you can subscribe to my channel, and in the next video I will cover the 7th house. Then I will try to relate the 5th and 6th house also with the 7th house. So see all my videos, because each house is related to each other in various aspects. Therefore, bye for now. See you when I talk about the 7th house.